This episode is brought to you by the Appleton Podcast Co-op. Enjoy your news. You're listening to What the Fox Says, bite-sized news for the Fox Valley area of Wisconsin. I'm David Kelsel, your host for the week of March 21st, 2022. On the list today includes NoMo May for the bees, needs of more nurses, historic Arctic ship discovery from some local help, and more. First up, from the Post-Crescent, reported by Duke Benke, the Appleton Common Council voted 10-4 to make the NoMo May a permanent event, but not to extend it into June. Normally, developed lots in Appleton can't have grass higher than 8 inches, but this won't be enforced during the month of May. This helps promote bee growth for the summer. After the 2020 event, a study found 5 times more bees and 3 times the variety of bees compared to regularly mowed lots in the area. Those opposed think it should be a year-by-year review due to neighborhood harmony and increased pollen rates. Up next from the Post-Crescent, reported by Madeline Heim, nursing shortages are reaching a tipping point in the state. Dubbed the Great Resignation, last year saw the highest rate of unfilled healthcare positions since 2005. Before, 1 in 10 changed positions, but last year was 1 in 5, according to a report from the Wisconsin Hospital Association. The report also offered potential solutions, though, including faster licensing, better telehealth, less paperwork, and more mental health time for nurses and other workers. From the Sheboygan Press by who knows because it's paywalled, a Sheboygan native, Tim Jacob, was part of the expedition that found Ernest Shackleton's sunken ship, the Endurance, off Antarctica. Now, I definitely think that these kinds of historical explorers are just wicked cool, so much so that I went and got a subscription to the Post-Crescent for the first time ever. But guess what? It doesn't cross over to the Sheboygan Press, so screw you, USA Today. So if you do have a subscription to Sheboygan Press, let me know who Tim Jacob is. From Local 5 Green Bay, reported by Devin Williams, the Appleton Police Department is still on the lookout for a culprit likely shooting other cars on the road with a BB gun, causing major damage. Apparently, there have been over 40 incidents reported since December of 2021, with no leads. If you know anything, hit up the APD. From Local 5 Green Bay, reported by Brenda Ordonez, some positive news. A 15-year-old student with a cognitive disability had his wishes realized on Wednesday, thanks to a joint effort by several members of the community. Fascinated with construction, Aiden Widmer got to join some of the ceremony and see the construction of the new Mulva Cultural Center in De Pere up close and personal. You should definitely check out the video on this one because it looks like Aiden is having a good time. Also from Local 5 Green Bay, reported by Paul Stino, in the balloon shop this week, aka inflation, is food pantries. From food costs itself to shipping logistics to donors' pockets, the outlook isn't great. However, there is a glimmer, as one of the several food pantries that was interviewed, St. Joseph's Food Program, hasn't had to cut any programs or turn people away. Thank the Lord. Also from Local 5 Green Bay, reported by Indiana Shills, GB is seeing a surge of fake oxy pills, the GBPD. That's fun to say. Said in a Facebook post, they've been seeing more and more of the tablets showing up, but upon testing, it's discovered they are laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than morphine. Not great. It's also potent enough that it can be absorbed through the skin, so no touchy if you suspect anything. And gosh, people, please be careful with any drug. This week, I'm going to continue the grab bag because there's a bunch of stories that don't really require more than a sentence or two to cover. So here you go, this week's grab bag. The Appleton Library is going to go climate friendly with geothermal walls and solar panels to reduce the carbon footprint. Oshkosh is getting a new wedding venue and a venue in general with Venue 404 downtown Oshkosh. The Senate has officially passed a bill to make daylight savings permanent so we can save all the daylight all the time. St. Norbert has hired an interim president for the next year as they start search for a permanent replacement. Lawless, or Lawls as I like to call it, the coffee shop in downtown Neenah and Sturgeon Bay is coming to downtown Appleton. Governor Evers announced a plan to improve Wisconsin 42 in Door County. That starts this Wednesday, March 23rd, starting at the Bayview Bridge in Sturgeon Bay and heads north up Wis 42. And some arts for you. The Play-by-Play Theater announced its 2022 Shakespeare in the Park production will be Much Ado About Nothing at Whitney Park in downtown Green Bay. The Museum of Glass in Neenah is going to be featuring Fox Valley area students' artwork for the next foreseeable future. An Appleton candy maker, you may be familiar with Sheree's Ghana-style brittle, is pitching a business idea to Project Pitch It, a Shark Tank-like reality show brought to you by the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Best of luck. And as the temperatures rise, the DNR warns of invasive plant species in the Fond du Lac and Winnebago counties, so be careful out there. Wash off your shoes and boots and the vehicles. This has been What the Fox Says, a production of the Appleton Podcast Co-op. For further reading, all articles and stories are linked in the show notes. If you have a news story or community event you think we should read, follow the Appleton Podcast Co-op on Facebook and send us a message. I'm David Kelso. I also host the APC Presents podcast, where I interview other local podcasters about their podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.